Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So, Zendikar Rising spoilers are well on their way. Yesterday I tackled 3 quick takes, one for Omnath, one for Aura, and one for Drana. So if you haven't seen those yet, go and check them out. But today's quick take, or first quick take, I'm not sure if there's going to be more of them today, depends on what else is spoiled, is actually on a card that has not been confirmed yet with Ashaya, Soul of the Wild. Now, this card, it's not an official spoiler yet. It looks very official. Someone looks like they were holding it and took a picture with their camera phone. It's kind of a grainy image, a little grainy, but it looks pretty legit. It looks like a very, let's just say that it's legit. Okay, from right now, my assumption is that this card is legitimate. It will be officially spoiled at some point. So I'm still going to do a quick take on this one right now and let you know kind of my thoughts on this commander, how I would build around it, what cards I would consider, etc., etc. So, Ashaya Soul of the Wild is a star elemental that costs 3 green. Ashaya Soul of the Wild's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. This is a really interesting and unique commander. So that first part, this thing can get huge, obviously, especially because of that second part, but basically it's going to be as big as the number of lands you control plus the number of creatures you control, because now your creatures, your non-token creatures, I should say, are also forests. So they're kind of like a Dryad Arbor. Now, you can't tap them right away and they come into play. They still are affected by Summoning Sickness, but yeah, you essentially just say, all my creatures now are mana dorks, which is really interesting. It's, again, kind of like a, once you get this commander out, if you've already got, a couple creatures already set up, you can have, a ton of mana on even that turn, and especially the turn afterwards. And Ashaya can be, a 10/10 when it comes out or whatnot, and just be a huge threat right away. Some cards that came to mind, starting with Scrib Ranger, a 1/1 fairy with flash, flying protection from blue, but the important part is return a forest you control to its owner's hand, untap target creature, plays ability only once each turn. So basically, this you can use to return any of your creatures back to your hand now to untap a creature or one of your lands. Essentially, basically this is kind of like a way to protect your creature, kind of like a Tamer Sabertooth. But also a way, again, to kind of ramp yourself as well. Maybe you've got an ETB with a creature that you want to abuse. You can just bring the creature back to your hand, put it back out, get that ETB again. And yeah, again, you're ramping while you're doing that too. Obviously, this can only be used once a turn, but something like a Vitalize can be really good as well for a huge explosive turn. Kind of like a ritual even. It's an instant for a green. It says untap all creatures you control. So yeah, essentially your creatures now are all mana dorks. You're untapping all of them and you get a ton of mana in that turn. Again, keep in mind that this is not counting non-token creatures. So I'm going to talk about some non-token spells later, but this deck generally I think is going to have to focus on a lot of creatures, probably more so that are low to the ground to get quite a few out. Quest Renewal is another card that I would definitely consider for this deck. It's an enchantment for 1 green. It says whenever a creature you control becomes tapped, you may put a quest counter on Quest Renewal. As long as there are 4 or more quest counters on Quest Renewal, untap all creatures you control during each of the player's untap step. So yeah, this one is essentially kind of like a Seedborn Muse-ish kind of card for your creatures. Basically, you're just untapping every single turn all your now mana dorks, and yeah, you can just have a lot of mana available to you on every single turn, so you can cast things at instant speed and whatnot. Leyline of Abundance is another card that I would consider. It's an enchantment for 2 green. It says if Leyline of Abundance is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. So same thing as all the other ley lines. And says whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. So this essentially just says, okay, all your mana dorks that are tapping, or all your creatures that are now mana dorks, are doubly as effective. So they're tapping for 2 instead of 1. And you can pay 6 green and put a ++1 counter on each creature you control. So this can be a good way, if you need to dump mana into something to make your army even tougher, even more powerful, you can do that. Patron of the Orochi is another card that came to mind. It's a little more on the expensive end, but it's you might be able to fit into a budget. A 7/7 Spirit for 6 green has Snake Offering, but probably won't come in handy. It might, you never know. It has untap all forests and all green creatures, pays ability only once each turn. So Basically, I mean, this is already going to untap your green creatures, but since they're mana dorks, I mean, it untaps them, I guess, for both reasons, because they're forest and because they're green creatures. If you've got any colorless creatures out there, it'll untap them as well. But again, it's untapping basically your mana dorks, just giving you a ton more mana, and all your lands as well, giving you a lot more mana in one turn. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that this commander goes infinite with things like Ley Weaver, a 2/2 for 3 and a green. It can tap to untap 2 target lands. Because Ley Weaver is now going to be a land, you can target Ley Weaver with itself, and then you can just target one of your other creatures, which is also a mana dork, so you've got infinite green mana. Congratulations. There are a couple other creatures that say untap, 2 or 3 lands in Magic, so they all are essentially infinite combo pieces with Ashaya, so make sure you keep those in mind if infinite combos are something that you're looking for. Next up, let's just talk about some kind of forest synergies as well. Because all your creatures are going to be turned into forests, or they are forests, I guess, technically, in addition to the other types. Timber Protector is something that you should be considering. Again, this might be a little on the more expensive end-ish. I think it's like $5 or so. But again, you might be able to stretch the budget for it. A 4/6 Treefolk Warrior that says other Treefolk creatures you control get +1/+1. Not really that relevant. But other Treefolk and forests you control are indestructible is huge. So now all your lands are indestructible if they're all forests. And then all your creatures are also indestructible because they're also forests. So yeah, that's pretty good. Beacon of Creation is a sorcery that costs 3 and a green. It says put a 1/1 green insect creature token into play for each forest you control. Shuffle Beacon of Creation into its owner's library. So now this is essentially counting all the forests that you have as well as all your creatures. So you're making a ton of insects. They're just 1/1s, but again, they can be great chump blockers. Or, if you've got a pump effect for your entire army, they can be a great finisher as well. But again, keep in mind that they do not tap for mana since they are tokens. Howl the Night Pack is another card to consider. Again, it's going to make tokens, but still a great card for this deck. Sorcery for 6 and a green. Put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield for each forest you control. So pretty much the same thing, except you're going to be making 2/2s, and you don't get this back like Beacon of Creation, but still a great card to consider. Next up, Blackblade Reforged is a card I would consider as well. It's an equipment, and it says equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. So yeah, this is going to count all of your creatures as well as all of your lands. So yeah, if you've got, 10 lands in play and 6 creatures, that's +16/+16. So that can make Ashaya really big and beefy, even bigger than it already is going to be. And it can easily make Ashaya into a one-shot kill. You've got something like a Rogue's Passage in the deck or other ways to make Ashaya unblockable, and congratulations, you've taken some out of commander damage. Overwhelming Stampede is, of course, another great finisher for this deck as well. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So yeah, you basically just, Ashaya is going to be huge because it's counting your lands as well as your creatures. So basically, yeah, you're just going to cast this, your entire army is going to get gigantic, you're going to swing out and finish everyone off, do green things, smack people with big creatures. Seems like a lot of fun. So yeah, Ashaya seems like a really interesting commander. I'm nearly positive it's legit, but again, not sure until the actual spoiler comes out and it's officially kind of spoiled. So my apologies if this was just not at all correct and this was proven to be a card that does not exist. So yeah, I apologize for that in advance if it is, but I'm pretty sure it's right. So anyways, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on Ashaya are. What are your thoughts on my take on the cards that I would consider for a deck like this? Would you take it in any different direction? So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks again and have a good one.